my Unit 2 video, and this is my first example. I'm starting off with characteristics of a quadratic function. And so my first example problem is gx equals negative 2x squared plus 16x plus 3. And so you want to break up your numbers into variables by the letters a, b, and c. So negative 2 is your a, 16 is your b, and 3 is your c. And so to find your x, you have to have this equation negative b over 2a, and then plug in the numbers for the letters that are there. So since it's negative b, you have the negative on the outside and the 16 in parentheses because 16 wasn't originally a negative number. And then you have 2 multiplied by negative 2. And so you get negative 16 over negative 4. So your answer is 4, which is your x, so x equals 4. And then to find your y, you have to plug in your x for the original equation. So it has gx equals negative 2x squared plus 16x plus 3. So you plug in the 4 for all the x places to replace the x. So it's g4 equals negative 2 in parentheses 4 squared plus 16 times 4 plus 3. And so you get negative 32 plus 67, and you get 35. So 35 is your y. And to find your y-intercept, you plug in 0 for the original equation. So it's g0 equals negative 2 0 squared plus 16 times 0 plus 3. So since everything here is going to equal to 0 except for the 3, your y-intercept equals 3. After you get your vertex and your y-intercept, you graph the problem. So 4 is the x and 35 is the y. So here's my 4 right here, and then 35 is right here because I went by 5s. And then my y-intercept is 0, 3. So it's 0 on the x and 3 right here on the y. And then you reflect on the axis of symmetry. So since it's 4, you would go past this. So it's like all the way over here. So you like reflect. And then that's your axis of symmetry. And then you write down whether it's where it increases and where it decreases. So it increases as it is less than 4, and then it decreases when it's greater than 4. Yep.
More than a community, it is a family. There's always a hug.
You're friends for life.
When I needed guidance and I needed support, Living Beyond Breast Cancer was there.
Alright, so the next section I did was the focus of a parabola, and I did the second part, which is write an equation of the parabola with given characteristics. And so since the vertex is at 0, 0, and the directrix is x equals 2, that's what the graph would look like. And since your parabola is going to the left, your directrix would be on the right side. And so since I'm supposed to find an equation, this is the equation I'm supposed to use, which is x equals 1 over 4p y squared. And since the directrix is x equals 2, p equals negative 2. And so you plug in negative 2 for p, so you get x equals 1 over 4 times negative 2 y squared. And that equals x equals negative 1 over 8 y squared. What I'm doing is a word problem. And so an electronics store sells 70 digital cameras per month at a price of $320 each. $320 each. For each $20 decrease in price, about 5 more cameras per month are sold. Use the verbal model and quadratic function to determine how much the store should charge per camera to maximize monthly revenue. So up here I have the revenue of $320 times 70, and that's $22,400. So your max revenue is like the whole equation of solving for the decreasing of the selling of cameras and then the additional 5 people buying it. So it's 320 minus 20x and then 70 plus 5x. So you use zero product property for the 3, so you break up the problem. So you have 320 minus 20x equals 0, and then you subtract 320 from both sides, and then you get negative 20x equals negative 320, and then you divide by 20, negative 20, to get your x, and so x equals 16. And then you do the same thing for the 70 plus 5x over here. So you have 70 plus 5x equals 0, and you subtract 70 from both sides. And then you have 5x equals negative 70, so you divide by 5. And so your other x equals negative 14. And then to find your axis of symmetry, you have to add the negative 14 and the negative 16 together and divide by 2 to get your axis of symmetry. So negative 14 plus 16 is 2, so it equals 2 over 2. And since those cancel each other out, your axis of symmetry will equal 1. And so to find your vertex, you have your original equation, which is fx equals 320 minus 20x times 70 plus 5x, and so you plug in your axis of symmetry into that equation. So f1 equals 320 minus 20 with the 1 in the parentheses, and then 70 plus 5 with another 1 in parentheses, and your answer is 22,500. And so your vertex is x equals 1 and your y is 22,500. So after you get your vertex and your x's to plot and your axis of symmetry, you plot them. So you plotted your negative 14 right there, and then your 16 right there, and then you have your vertex, which is 22,500. So all of that is right there. So those are the numbers you had to plot. And so after you plot all this, you analyze. So your best price should have been $300, and your expected sales should have been 75 cameras, and your max income is $22,500, which is $100 more than what we started with, which was $22,400.
Alright, so here I'm going to explain 2.12, which was transformation of quadratic functions. Basically what the vocabulary is for this section is basically transformation. Transformation is when you take a line and it moves on the graph up or down. So for our example, we're going to do number 1, which is g equals x plus 4 squared. So from here, we're going to go over here. So basically what your first step is you need to put your given information into standard form, and standard form is f equals ax squared plus bx and then plus c. So in this case we began with this x plus 4 squared, and then so what we did is we're just going to FOIL this, and it becomes x squared plus 4x plus 16. We're going to simplify that, and that comes out to x squared plus 8x plus 16. Or it can be 20, depends on how you want to figure that out. But that's standard form. So from there, we're going to move on to our graph.
Random fact, 12 newborn babies get sent home to the wrong families every day. It's scary. Do you think you're in the right family? You're not.
Okay, so for our graph, for our standard form, we got x squared plus 8x plus 16. So what we're going to do is, let me start over on my calculator. Okay, so what you're going to do on your calculator is first you're going to go to y equals up here, and then you're going to make sure your plot 1 is off. This is your plot 1. Shout out to Olivia for letting me use her calculator. And next you're going to just type in your equation. So x squared plus 8x plus 16. And then what would be easier for you to see the graph on the calculator is you're going to go to zoom, go all the way down to number 6, zoom standard, you're going to press enter, and then there's your graph. So from your origin and then from your graph where it moved over here to -4, you can tell from your calculator how many spaces you moved if you just move your little spider over here, and it'll tell you how many spaces you moved. So in this case, from the origin, we moved 4 spaces, and that means we translated our parabola 4 spaces to the left. So the life lesson, I feel like it really helped me because like I'm busy and stuff like that. But I want to be like more involved, and this gave me like the extra push to actually do something about it and actually get involved. Yeah, and I like when we do life lessons because like when I look back at algebra 2 class, like, oh yeah, it sucked because like we're doing math all day. Like, no, it's gonna be like, you know, like I really like that class because not only did we learn about math and stuff like that, but Mr. Suhu taught us like valuable stuff. Like I remember that like all the stuff you taught us, well, Mr. Suhu taught us last year, like I still remember all that stuff and I still try to apply it to my everyday life, like family stuff, like all the advice he gave us. But yeah, I think these are very helpful and we should keep doing them, definitely.